Hello, this is David, and welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, or else welcome for the first time if you're new here. Today I wanted to do just a quick little tag. So today Brian from Bookish tagged me in a book buying history tag created by One Book, One Review. And so I wanted to just take a quick moment and kind of go through the two questions on this tag. So it's super quick, but it is an interesting tag. It tells a bit of a history about folks and what they're doing. So question number one, where do I get my books? In the past, when I was younger, and when I was more of an exclusively genre reader, I would get my books from just any old bookstore, wherever I happened to be, anywhere that sold books, whether it was antique stores, whether it was in a bookstore like Barnes and Noble, half-price books, places like that around here. Literally anywhere that sold books, I would gladly pick some up. And there was a time in my life where that caused me to go overboard with getting just a whole bunch of dollar paperbacks, more than I would ever probably have read in a lifetime. You know, if it sounded interesting, and let's face it, a lot of fantasy and sci-fi, just from the back cover or from the title or from the picture on the cover, looks and sounds interesting. And so eventually I broke out of that habit, downsized quite a bit, and I began to get more specialized tastes. And so that leads to the more challenging answer. So when I'm looking for genre stuff, that same answer still kind of applies. I will look anywhere. I'm happy to go anywhere, but my tastes are more specialized now. And so it's been quite some time since I've frequented somewhere like a Barnes and Noble, because I don't really find the books that I'm necessarily looking for in a chain store. And even when I do, I would rather, my book buying habits have one of three things that I tend to follow. Either one, I'm looking for a book that, and I don't have anything specific in mind, just looking for something to kind of mood read, something that sounds interesting to add to my collection. And so I'll go somewhere that is a little more thrifty than paying full price for a book, because I have no problem with a used book as long as it's in reasonably good condition still. So I'll go to somewhere like a Half Price Books, which we have one here in central Iowa that I tend to frequent on a fairly regular basis. Just was there today. That'll be my little book haul at the end of this video. Two, I might be looking for something that is satisfying a very special niche of my interests. So I'll be looking for something that is medieval literature, that will be medieval history, something of that nature. So unfortunately, something like that, every once in a while I'll get lucky in somewhere like a Half Price Books and find something there. But most of the time that means I'm going to be shopping online, because even if I can't find it on Amazon, odds are that I'm going to find it somewhere in the United States that is able to ship it to me at a semi-reasonable price. The only thing I hate about that is you don't actually know the condition of that book before it shows up. You know, somebody's acceptable or good might not align very well at all with my definition or idea of what that is. Or I'm looking for something, so number three, something that I'm looking for, not necessarily something specific, but something where I know kind of what sort of books I'm looking for. And I just like going and supporting a small business when that's the case. If I don't have anything specific in mind, whether genre or anything like that, I'd rather go to an indie bookseller than to a big chain store. So yeah, where do I get my books? It's either going to be Half Price Books, it's going to be some kind of an indie bookstore or smaller bookseller, which unfortunately we don't have a whole abundance of those here locally, or I'll be shopping online. So question two, how do I choose the books I get? So BookTube is going to make it so that there will be an increase of recommendations from other people. I'm going to be choosing books based on the two authors. It's looking like it's going to be two authors that I'll be reading every works by the authors from the Appendix N Challenge, Medieval Lit readings, my Inklings readings. This channel is going to help me be very selective on some of the book purchases I'll be making, as again you'll see with my little mini book haul, because each of these has a reason why they were specifically chosen. But my more unique answer, and the one that I think most people probably don't also follow, I look at college syllabi. Yeah. I look out there to see what teachers are using in their classroom for teaching medieval lit, medieval history, medieval religion, to look and see what they're teaching for Chaucer or for Shakespeare or for Arthurian literature or for Tolkien and C.S. Lewis literature, for sci-fi and fantasy literature courses, things of that ilk, and make a kind of a buy list based off of that. So that's one of the big ways in which I choose books that I get. I'm looking for specific translators, specific editions that are being used to help me kind of filter through without trial and error, especially since I can't really see and compare face to face on a lot of these purchases. Being able to get what people are recommending as the version of a particular work, especially when it's something that I haven't read anything of before. So to end this out, I'm going to tag a couple of people. I'm going to tag Tom at LA Books, Tom LA Books. I think he's going to have some really interesting answers on this. I'm going to tag Jennifer Brooks and then Tori from Hufflepuff Discovery. So the two leads for Ancients-a-thon. The three of you, your interests in books tend to align a lot closer to my quirky choices outside of genre fiction. So I'd love to hear your answers on these things. So I look forward to watching those videos. So now we've got our little mini book haul here. So I'm going to just go through the couple of books that I picked up. So Memoirs of a Geisha. Picked this up. It's been well over 10 years since I last read this. I've got a buddy read with Katie Howe and Christy Lewis Dostoevsky in Space and some other wonderful people coming up in August, so I picked up my own copy of that. I picked up a copy of Dante, The Inferno. I no longer had a copy. That surprised me. So I found a copy. I'm going to be reading this. Inspired by Tom L.A. Books, Jennifer Brooks, their recent discussion and read-alongs through The Inferno. They're into Purgatorio right now. Starting June 1st, I'm going to do a canto a day. And however long that takes to get through all three of the Dante books, I'm going to do that. I've read them all previously. I'm going to read them all slowly and watch Tom's wonderful videos on them as I go. Picked up Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs because I believe he's one of my Appendix N authors. Speaking of Appendix N authors, I also picked up 9 Princes in Amber by Roger Zelazny. Probably Zelazny. I know that author is on there, and I've always wanted to read that. I picked up a couple more books for Ancients-a-thon to give me options. So I got Plato, The Last Days of Socrates. I got Njal's Saga, so Viking saga, Icelandic saga. This is one of the longer sagas, which would be a fun one to do for Ancients-a-thon or to have as in my pocket for a medieval reading later on down the line. And then I picked up A Year in the Life of William Shakespeare, 1599. The intent on this was to join Rachel's reading on a buddy read of that because I saw her video a week or two ago where that was one of the books she picked up. Reached out to her, said, I'd love to read one of those books with you sometime. She said, let me know what one. So I finally got around to finding one at my local store. Reached out to her after picking it up. She's 100 pages from the end of it already. So we're going to kind of punt that one as a buddy read, but I'm still going to be reading that here very soon. And we'll be looking at other options, including, spoiler, September. I'm planning on doing a Shakespeare September, where we're going to read 4 plays, Richard II, Henry IV Parts 1 and 2, and Henry V, and talk about all of those as kind of a group read-along kind of thing, and watch The Hollow Crown, which is a more recent film adaptation of all 4 of those plays. So that's all I've got. This video was longer than I expected it to be, but I had more to talk about than just the tag. So thank you again for Brian at Bookish for tagging me on that, and have a great night.